Hi, Dr. P here to talk about what to do to help make your documents clearer when you're describing how your level is supposed to be put together to the programmers and artists and sound people who are actually going to make it. If you're writing something to be published, paper adventures, then much of this applies. If you're writing something as a guide for somebody else to create the level software, all of this applies. And in either case, you need to be absolutely clear or as close as you can get. So I'm going to assume that you're writing a document for programmers and artists. Now this is a process. You're not going to sit down and write it all out and have it all there and be finished. So don't expect everything to come at once. It's not going to happen. Leave room for additions. You can say to be determined. Don't worry about prettiness. The environmental artists or the module artists are going to provide the prettiness. You may have ideas about how you want your level to look, and you can try to convey those as best you can. It's good if you're an artist yourself, or you can provide some photographs, or you can just provide descriptions. But it's the artist's job to make it look good, and they may think of something better than you do. Give your missions names, not numbers. Give your events names. Names are more specific, they're more descriptive. Imagine somebody who names their files 1, 2, 3, 4 on a computer. They're not going to know what's there. But if they give those names descriptive words, then they'll be a lot better off. And the same is true when you're making the documents for a level or an adventure. When you put numbers on the map, or letters as the case may be, leave extra ones in between so you can add more later. It's the nature of creating levels for computers that there are lots of cool ideas that are going to take too long. If your idea is going to take special code or art, then it has to be really something special before it will be worth the time it takes. Also consider all the possible exceptions, because players rarely do what you expect them to do. One of the biggest mistakes you can make when designing a level or adventure is assuming the players are going to do such and such, because much of the time they won't do that. When you put a number on the map, state what's there, not what you hope will happen there, because again, what happens is going to depend on the players, and they're going to do things you didn't anticipate. Try to assume the worst case scenario and provide for it. Try to imagine all the bizarre things that could happen, all the things that go wrong, and do something about it. Keep in mind that players are there to do things, not to look at pretty environments or admire your work. So give them things to do. It's all about doing. Proofread your document. Be sure the spelling and the grammar are standard. This is simple, but a lot of people don't do it, and then it makes it harder to understand. The reason why there are standards is because it makes things easier to understand. It's tough enough to get people to actually read your document instead of asking you directly. It's going to be even tougher if the spelling and the grammar are substandard. Include information in the document about the date, the copyright, how confidential it's supposed to be, so that people know who did it and when it was done, and they can look at 2 copies of the document and know which one's the more recent one, which is pretty important. When you lay out the document, use indentations and bullets and blank space and so on to separate the parts so it's easier to read. Everything you're doing is to make things easier to read and understand. That's why you should write in active, not passive voice. If you don't know what those two are, you'd better look them up. But I can try to explain. The boy kicked the dog is active. The dog was kicked by the boy is passive. Which sounds better to you? Which is more direct? When you're assigning quests, be sure to highlight it in some way because the quests are important. Avoid pronouns. Use the titles or the names of the various characters and NPCs and monsters. Pronouns can be misunderstood. When you see the word you, what is that referring to? Or when you see the word it, what is it referring to? It could be referring to several things. But if instead of using it, if you use Sparkle the Anonymous, if that happens to be his name, then everybody knows who you're referring to. Provide an overview. Where does the level fit into the game? Where do the players come from to get here? Where are they going? Include up front a list of major features, NPCs, items, and events, perhaps even an executive summary so somebody can look at that and have an idea of what they're going to now read in detail. In other words, provide a context for the reader. And when you're referring to something that occurs earlier in your level or adventure, specify the context. Don't merely give a reference. Don't say if number 19 is achieved. Say what's supposed to happen at number 19. And this is a continuous process. As you get your ideas in better shape, you'll reject things, you'll add things. Look over your document occasionally and make sure you've got all this together, straight. It's really good if you can persuade people to read the drafts, because they'll point out a lot of things you've left out or that are not clear, and you can fix it before you get to the final. And of course, the final, you might have heard my quotation marks there, only means the version that you're going to actually give to the artists and the programmers so they can get started, because thereafter changes are going to be made and you want to be changing this document as those changes are made so it's up to date. So if somebody wants to refer to it, then they have the up-to-date information. That's a lot, but it's very important to be clear. Misunderstanding is inherent in the language, especially English, which is a big amalgamation of a lot of different languages. What you're trying to do is minimize the misunderstanding, even though you can't eliminate it. 99%, that's good. 100%, you're not going to get.